Hello, greetings. This is Gilles Mancillon. I wanted to come and greet you today. I hope you're enjoying this weather. Here we have in France. It's quite hot. It is summer. In the course of the seasons, we are everything. Nature is showing us a way, the natural cycle of things, and we need to reintegrate ourselves within that natural process so we can flow within life without having to struggle and allow things to come into being at the right time and the right place in divine timing. There is the great the Galactic New Year that will come around the 26th of July. It is the time where it was celebrated in ancient Egypt as the new Galactic New Year, where the sun rises and the star Sirius rise next to it. So it's like we have a double sun, a golden sun and the blue sun. So it is part of the process where we're opening up to the fifth dimension, to the higher realm. For the Egyptians who were really advanced in metaphysics and understanding of the afterlife. The whole civilization was a preparation for that afterlife. And then this great cosmic doorway that will be opening on the 26th will be moving in more and more intensity for like the whole 2 weeks until the August 8th for the Lion's Gate, where it will be on the apex of its magnificent glory of this great light, and then it will integrate itself through there's 2 eclipses in August as well. And so when we speak of wisdom, we try to find of philosophy. For all that I'm talking about here is always philosophy. First we have to understand that first the philosophers in antique times were asked to answer everything. Science, the government, everything was put in the hand of the philosopher to figure out the world and explain it so we can live together. But now we have grown, and we have, and then there is all kinds of philosophies that have been exposed through the millenniums, and it's a bit like a big bank, a buffet. You know, each philosopher would have its own plate, its own meal, and then you can pick and choose what you put on your plate. And then, of course, there is fast food and there is gastronomic food. So there is philosophies that are higher than others. The philosophy I try to educate, to teach, to live by is one that is simple, easy to integrate, and improve the quality of life, that can be very directly verified by experience. For most philosophers did not know what we know now. That we have this divine inner presence within ourselves, which is actually a bridge to that higher infinite being of source. Most philosophers would recognize that infinity of being is the true is God, the true self, but then they always thought that it was absolutely inaccessible, and so they had to figure out what is their relationship to that. But in essence, the law of one, the idea that all is one is all, we are included within the one, we are a fragment of the one that is unique and divine, answers all of that, and is the final application of philosophy, as the philosophy leads to destiny and ascension. For it is discovering this truth, the truth of eternal life is the next most important discovery that man will make in terms of science. Once we can prove the existence of eternal life, everything will change. The premise of science will change. We'll discover new science. We're going to discover new ways of life. We're going to be able to respect ourselves, respect others. There will no longer be violence. There will no longer be war, because it will make no sense. Once we understand that when we do something to one person, it is like if we would do that to everybody else, then we would not want to harm anyone. And so those are in preparation. In terms of humanity, most philosophy is very analytical, mental, a lot, and so, but a lot of it, mostly in the 18th century, there was really a denying of all value in terms of what the dreams can bring, and so it is very important to use both in the intuition and the logical mind in order to get a balanced perspective and arrive at a logical, centered way. The highest way that I can find, also my highest recommendation in order to discover wisdom, is to empty out your mind and to allow truth to be revealed within yourself. For as Socrates would say, the only thing I know is that I do not know. The more you know that you do not know, the more life can reveal itself, can teach you, can show you something. Because no matter what we know, it is very little in relationship to this great cosmos that we inhabit. So until we know the whole universe, we won't know ourselves, because we are all one and the same. And so of course, we can find all kinds of sciences that discuss the outside world, but the truth that we're really seeking is within ourselves, for that is where we will find the true solution, the true answers, and love is always the answer. When I speak of love, I do not speak of romantic love here. I love romantic love, but and it is not because we tune into unconditional love that we have to deny ourselves romantic love. Yet this love has to become something integrated, where we love ourselves, we love our life, we love everything within our life, and we are able to love people and situations, even when they are in the state of complete disarray, or because all of those who are plaguing this world with ignorance and ignorant actions that makes other people suffer, it's because of their ignorance. They would not do that if they knew exactly what they were doing, because of the law of karma. They would avoid that. So it is about being compassionate and understanding without being abused, allowing others to abuse us, to allow them to experience for themselves what the fruits of their work in many sense. And so it is like little children. When it's not because a little child, if you have a child that's already run on his bicycle, and then there is another little child that's having a hard time walking, it's not because a kid is able to ride his bicycle that he's supposed to harass the little child who cannot walk because he cannot walk. So it is all a part of degrees in consciousness. And the more you ascend in consciousness, the more you are able to ascertain this, to be able to see exactly where everybody stands on the wisdom level. Eventually we will develop technologies that will allow us to identify the level of wisdom of all being at all time, and from there we will create a society where those who have attained the most wisdom will be put in charge of leaderships and government and education. All of this is in the works. We will definitely see that in our lifetime. There will be a great change that will be coming in relationship to many things. I'm going to make this not too long. I wanted to also, it's very important to make a discernment between judgment and discernment. It's good to allow ourselves not to judge, but to be very to discern, because within the one that is all, that is part of this Earth program, there is all kinds of contracts, from the impure to the pure, from the low to the high, to the dark, the light, everything mixed up, and so we're all made of all those states of opposing realities that are opposing themselves constantly, and that is the force and energy that allows us to grow and become more, and eventually the soul will choose love, will choose benevolence, will choose kindness. But it has to be a voluntary effort. It cannot be forced onto anybody, for morality cannot be imposed in any way. It is something that has to, the more laws we create, the more we'll find people that will break the laws just because there are laws to be broken. Eventually we'll give up laws and we'll become responsible. We won't need laws, we'll be free. But this will take a little while before it comes into total fruition. However, I remain optimistic that we will move into a state very soon where we're going to be able to alleviate all wars from the planet and begin to build a society that is truly human, in many sense. What we have to understand in terms of highest wisdom, the highest wisdom is the limitation. The limitations are manifold. The limitation, time and space, is a limitation, but that is part of the divine program. However, there are limitations within our mind, limitation within our belief, limitation within our habits, limitation within our dreams that can be overcome. And as we move into a higher form of beliefs and more faith, maybe, for faith is very important. It has to be added to reason, added to moral judgment, to expand ourselves beyond that which that could be figured out intellectually. For intellect alone cannot discover that higher truth. And so to understand our limitation, to accept our limitation, to work within that limitation, shows a good intent towards the universe, and as we allow that, most of those limitations will fall away in due time. what we need to understand is our master guide. It is that we have access to higher wisdom through that being that is the master guide. It is the guide of the spiritual path. It is a guide that is always there, always available, but those guides lived in the higher planes of consciousness. They could not fulfill their function if they were down in incarnation. So they are celestial beings that are always available to us. And as we open ourselves to, it is their wisdom that we can enjoy, but it's also in relationship to what we have asked them before we came into being. We made this soul agreement that they would work with us throughout the course of our lifetime, and so you can fully depend on your guides. Your guides are not working for anybody else; they're working just for you. Yet they will not allow you to deviate from that path that you have chosen. So trust your guide, trust your intuition, trust your insight. It is very important, and trust your dreams as well. What we need to do is responsibility. We do not want to add more responsibility than we have, but the more power we have, the more responsibility we assume necessarily. And so it is good to let go of all those responsibilities that are illusions, that are taking away our joy, taking away our sense of well-being. Yes, they are responsibility, are quite enjoyable, and so that is what we need to be responsible for ourselves, for our words, for our thoughts even, and for our action. For that is somewhat a basis in society that everybody is responsible for its own action. And so but to controlling our thoughts, even though nobody sees thoughts just yet, it is very important to keep your thought as pure as possible, to seek out those thoughts that are not pure, that are heavy, that can be because attachment, irritation and ignorance are three things that can be fooling ourselves. The mental body can be obstructed because of that. Those may be limitations, and so we want to, when we see thoughts that are not really light and clear, we can say, that is not, and so just by doing that we are able to identify those thoughts, and we move into something that is lighter in the next time, because we didn't get subjugated by a thought that was impure. We became contemplative of that thought, and then from there we are able to not allow that thought to oppress us in any way. So it is important to first we have to allow those to understand that everything that comes to us, our thoughts, we're not responsible for the thoughts that come into our mind. We just got to deal with them, and the way we deal with them is through the more we can have lucidity and compassion and kindness. We can use that to transmute our thoughts and to turn them into positive, to send blessings into the world, to send love to a tree, a bird, the sun, the other people, the river, the ocean. Everything needs our love. The more we can send our love to those elements, the more the love will be reflected back, and everything is a mirror for love. So it is very important to practice that, and in whichever way, form or shapes you feel comfortable, in order to grow into a loving being, for that is the true source. This is who you are. Your love is your essence, so you are divine, and the essence of the divine is love. Love is the primal attributes of God. Love, mercy, and ministry are the three great attributes of love. For first love, but then there is this mercy, this desire to help, and then the ministry is to how do we get. We need to serve. It is a way to serve. It is the source and center, the great angelic family that is are the ministers of time, and so we become minister as well. It's not a religious thing. It is just about to be able to help others in finding out the middle way. And to let them know that they are loved and supported no matter what they choose. But in choosing something that is intelligent will always lead to intelligent efforts will always lead to satisfaction. Where an effort that is leading us away from there are other efforts that can lead us away from. So it is about also being tolerant with ourselves and others, because we do not want to judge. Once again, we just want to be accepting of ourselves with all our difficulty, with all our limitation, and to love ourselves no matter what. That is very, very important, to understand that you want to be your best supporter no matter what. And the general message to us is trust. Trust is the essential key. It's what will lead us to the truth. It is without trust nothing can be attained. So it is very important to develop trust, trust in the universe, trust in life, trust in others, trust in yourself. The more we can achieve that, the faster things go. For even miracles are conditioned by the trust we have in the universe and our ability to believe that miracles can happen, and then things happen without even having to think about it, because we are open to receiving those amazing possibility of experiences or even or reality, truths that can reveal within ourselves when we are open to it. Well, I hope this message was interesting for you. I wanted to pass by very briefly. I will return shortly. In the meantime, I hope you will be able to gain more ground in relationship to your inner presence, to be able to be still and enjoy the moment of stillness, and to be even more fulfilled when you come to the creative aspect, to the motion forward of that which you have received during your meditation. I thank you very much. I wish you a wonderful day. I wanted to say also that in terms of for all those who are seeking wisdom within philosophy and books, there is this book, I already showed it, it's called the Urantia book. It's a book that was revealed in the 30s. It will take about 1,000 years for mankind to understand the knowledge in this book, but it is not what, of course it shows all the ways of wisdom. It reveals the presence of the thought adjuster, the I am presence. It reveals all of the mechanism of the universe and all of the relationship of all philosophical current in relationship to the philosophy of love of Jesus. So it is somewhat formatted within, and there are limitations within the book. Yet for all those who are looking for higher knowledge in relationship to spirituality, this is the one book that I recommend the most. I hope this was interesting for you. I wish you a wonderful day. I'll talk to you later. Namaste.